Hey guys, Kuzo here, back with another video. In this video today, we're going to be doing another installment of my redesign series. And in this one, we're going to be drawing Steampunk Edward Elric from Fullmetal Alchemist. But yeah, I thought this would be fun and fitting since he has a mechanical arm. It would be easier to incorporate somewhat steampunk elements, especially into that mechanical arm. You know, now that I think about it, a series that would have a steampunk theme and then be able to have alchemy as the power in it, that would be a pretty cool series. It would mesh together really well. Maybe one of these days. So I know Fullmetal Alchemist is a somewhat older anime and manga, not that old, but older than, you know, the recent generation of anime and manga, so I'm actually curious to know how many of you have actually watched it all the way through, and how many of you haven't actually checked it out. And if you haven't checked it out, what are you doing? You have to watch it, it's so good. And I'm mostly talking about Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood because the other anime series of Fullmetal Alchemist was like, so we're going to be following the manga for the first couple episodes, and then we're going to stray off and do our own thing and not follow the manga at all. And then later on, you know, they realized the animation studios are like, oh wow, the manga is actually really good, and then they rebooted it into something that actually follows the manga. Hilarious enough, kind of also a little bit strange if you think about it. But it's totally worth it because many people actually like Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood more than the original. There are some people who like the original more, probably because it has a little place in their heart, because there's probably a lot of people that watched that first anime without even, you know, reading the manga, and it probably set in them as that is Fullmetal Alchemist, and then Brotherhood came out, and they're probably like, you know, it's not like the first one that I watched kind of thing. But most people that I've heard talk about both of the series and comparing the two typically say that Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood is better, which I totally agree, as you've heard me mention. So out of the manga, the first anime that aired, and Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, I've only watched Brotherhood all the way through. I haven't read the manga, and I never watched that first anime season all the way through. I remember seeing some episodes of it on TV or wherever I saw it. I can't remember where I originally saw it. I saw a few episodes of the first anime version, and I've also watched some of the first movies that came out for it. Even though Brotherhood came out in 2009 and 2010, I still feel like the quality of the animation and just the overall series can easily stand up to the anime nowadays. And from what I've seen and heard, a lot of this new generation just don't want to watch some of the older anime because they're like, it looks bad, the story doesn't look good, and all this stuff. It's like a lot of these animes that came out from like 1998 all the way up until like 2010, there's so many good anime and manga that came out during that point in time, and a lot in between and stuff like that. But a lot of that stuff that came out in like 2015 and like in the 2010s area and teens are closer to what a lot of the people in this generation are okay with watching, but anything before that they think it might look a little too old for them. I feel like this anime kind of sits in that sweet spot where it's like 2009, 2010, and it had some top-notch animators to the point where it looks like it could have been animated in 2019. But yeah, it's great. You should really watch it if you haven't yet. And one thing I find really interesting about anime is how much they put out per season, because there's so many studios making things in Japan that there's like so many series that come out per season. And I don't feel like anywhere else in the world does it like this with animated series, where it's kind of like they throw crap at the wall and see what sticks. So now there's just like this big abyss of like a bunch of series that are kind of like mediocre amongst like some that come out that are really good within certain seasons and certain years. And you can see this happen in comic markets and manga markets a lot, but the thing is, drawing a manga is easier than having a whole production team, you know, putting out an anime and throwing that at the wall and seeing if it sticks. It's interesting to see how the anime market kind of shifts like that, and it has become one of those fast-paced things that a lot of things just come out each season because there's also just so many studios. And it kind of sucks in some ways because there's this huge abyss of anime, and like 75% of them are pretty bad. If there's a majority of something being bad, typically leaves a perception that that thing is not very good, especially when it comes to moving pictures such as, you know, animation or movies. It's kind of like the height of what a story can go to, being able to actually see your characters move, talk, and stuff like that. So it's interesting to see how Japan has made this streamlined production of animation where so many of them can come out within a season or within a year. And there's not anything else really like that. There are TV series that come out, all around the world that do something quite similar, but just not quite like animation and not on the same scale as animation, how many series actually come out from Japan. There's also a lot of outsourcing that goes out to like Korea or China for animation, but all in all, a lot of the actual animation series are coming from Japan, like they're the ones funding it and stuff like that. To be completely transparent, I actually don't know all that much about the, systems of animation and exactly where it comes from. I just know there's some outsourcing and stuff like that. I have heard that a lot of the US animations that come from like DC and Marvel have been outsourced from Korea. I don't know a whole lot about other animation series that are going on in other countries other than, Japan and the US. So some other stuff could be happening other places at a rapid pace that I just don't know about, but I feel like if it was, we probably would have heard of it. But enough about that. All that could be a topic for another video, to be completely honest. There's a lot of stuff I could actually talk about with that. This is one of the very few times I've actually drawn Edward, and it was really fun. Not gonna lie, I was having a few hard times in this, and I was like, At the very end of it, I ended up not being completely satisfied. I guess I expected a little bit more of myself, which means I just gotta, look at the illustration, look at what I don't like about it, in the end, and try to move on and do better in whatever next one I do. But yeah, so in this illustration I decided not to have his shirt on. I didn't know if I kind of wanted to have a shirt on for him, or wanted to put his like red coat in there and kind of like alter it to like steampunkish, but I really wanted to emphasize on that arm because metal, steampunk, bolts, stuff like that. I really wanted to emphasize on that arm. So I decided to go shirtless with it, which I was pretty happy with that. I could have had part of the shirt ripping up on, kind of like ripping off from his arm and then it being on the other part of his body. But I thought, his arm is covering up most of his left-hand side or right-hand side of his body anyways. So I was like, I might as well just have the shirt be completely off. The fangirls out there are like, yeah, shirtless, yeah. And I was debating on whether or not to put goggles on him, but it's like every steampunk redesign I do, it's like, okay, they have to have goggles, and not every steampunk person has goggles, so I decided to leave the goggles off. And there was also an idea I was playing around with when drawing this. I was thinking about if I should put like sound effects in the background, and I ended up not doing that when maybe I should have. It could have looked cool, just like some whoosh, whoosh, and something in the background, just those big black sound effects that look really cool. Gives that really nice contrast between the super big black letters and like a whiter background. And with this pose, I've done something similar before with like Kenichi, and another pose I recently did on my second channel with my real-time content, where I like kind of having them have one arm up and the hand extended, with the other arm somewhat down and then the fist balled up. It's probably some fighting style somewhere that I just don't know about. I just think it looks cool. And also with his arm design, I was struggling between thinking bulky and thinking slim, so I ended up going with kind of in between of that. And I was deciding whether or not I wanted to put something on his back as like an engine to run the arm, but I decided against that to kind of keep like the Edward Elric look of just a somewhat slimmer arm that's more agile. Now that I think about it, I probably could have thought of a cool engine idea to put on the back shoulder part as like an asymmetrical design. It's already asymmetrical, but pushing that even a little bit further and then contrasting it with maybe something bigger down on the right side of his hip. Well, his left side, our right side. But it's too late now, folks. It's too late. I'm already doing the voice recording. But these are some of the things I would think about when doing my own design and trying to improve it through like different drafts and iterations of the design to get the best one possible. Like for example, this illustration would technically be considered a first draft because I didn't do any other draft before this. I just went straight into this. If any of you want to help support my arts, help support what I do on this channel, you guys check out my Patreon, link in the description. I'd like to take this time to thank my current Patreons: Eke Pelage, Wear My Crown, Daniel Healer, Noah Henderson, Maracuzio, JT, Slow Days, Alpha Dog Studios, Aaron McQuiston, LaCour, David Curtis, 19 13, Black Dragon 89, Ryan, Dope Closet, Josh Aguilera, Land Zoe, Monso, Malcolm X, This Guy Sewell, Parthana, Thomas, Grim Reaper, Spencer, Blake Belcher, Carlos Loza, Wes Flinch, Grimoff, Alicio Claro, David Jordan, Eden Dobb, Johnny Boy Dross, Aaliyah Williams, I Am Dusty, Leo McIntyre. Big thanks to you guys are the best. Case. Also, if you guys are interested in my real-time content of drawing, check out my second channel, link in the description. But in any case, if you guys like this video, please hit that thumbs up button, and if you're new to this channel, like what you see, please subscribe, hit the bell icon to get notified when each video comes out. Like always guys, I hope you're having a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.